My first agency was chaos, like pure fucking chaos. Put your best effort and energy into one creative and fucking rock that. When you're in a space where everybody's saying the same shit over and over, come up with a new mechanism, whether that's like, hey, we get our leads on TikTok. What's up, guys? Another exciting, awesome live episode. Holy shit. I'm amazed by you guys, for real. The stuff you guys are working out, the way you guys are helping clients, building lifestyle, and your reasons for it. Usually some of you guys are family members or wanting to travel and see the world. Like, just such cool reasons. I'm inspired by how the more beach, less laptop has impacted you and that whole idea. What's up, Zach? um, Quick little announcement. I don't have anything for you guys this week. I've been mostly just kind of spending some time with the girls. And if you guys are interested in seeing something else, I'd love to hear from you guys actually more than anything about like whatever the sticking point is for you. Chances are you're not the only one who has it. Like if you want to post it in the group or message me privately, like all of those are good. I'd love to hear from you guys, just see what's going on, what challenges you're dealing with, and I'll help you guys come up with some cool shit to get past them. That's the cool thing about agency life is it's all a solvable problem. Whatever you're trying to figure out, it's all solvable. And I usually tell people as a little bit of inspiration, if you're struggling with something, somebody dumber than and less capable than you has probably figured it out, so you can usually do it. A lot of our folks are really smart, kind of right brain folks. And when you get past the thinking side of things and you know experience what you want to experience, it's a cool business to have. It really really is like a change your life forever for the better kind of thing. I'll never forget, for me, it was probably around 2009 when I started earning enough income that I knew I was never going to need a job again the rest of my life. That was such a freeing moment. What's up, Ram? So other than that, that's enough for the announcement, but I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll probably create some more cool stuff based on the answers you guys give me. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. All right, who's up first? I got to scroll to the top here. We got Mark Andre. What do you think it takes to have success as an agency owner? I don't know how many things I would say in general, but I'll tell you some of the things that keep people stuck. One of them is if you're not a technically inclined kind of computer person, this type of industry will break you. But most of you guys are, and I'll tell you, for those of you guys who are, the things that usually keep people back are more mental than physical in reality. Mindset, if you will, in the sense of like, I see people afraid to get rejected, so they never go take any at bats and put themselves out without any with any power or with any sort of authority, and so nobody responds to them or they don't make offers. I also see people get trapped in like a do-it-yourself where they think it's easier to do everything themselves and they don't hire people. And I also see people get stuck in just being overwhelmed with the craziness of it. But usually the single biggest thing that I see more than anything is the people who make the most success out of this business just fucking stick with it. Meaning they don't like try it. Like a lot of people try this business, dip one toe in the water, find out the water is cold and go, oh, agency is not for me. And like, for example, like my first agency was chaos, like pure fucking chaos. And even though we had like a very financially viable business, like with 120-ish clients or whatever, it was just fucking madness the way that thing ran. My phone blew up 24 hours a day. It was not sustainable in any way. I didn't see that at the time. But if I had never stuck through it, I wouldn't have ended up creating a actual sustainable agency. And so the same is true for you guys. If you just stick with shit long enough and commit to solving problems, like when you have problems in your agency, what most people do is label them as unsolvable and back away. And what you actually want to do is lean into those, because on the other side of that are breakthroughs that you wouldn't otherwise achieve. If you can do that, you can make the agency game work. And of course, you know, I always say, like, if you're trying to do something, like, this is a shameless plug personally. What's up, Ilka B? But, you know, mentors and stuff can help you do it a lot faster. I'm a big believer in it. I'm part of a few masterminds personally as an attendee for that reason, because, you know, like, there's people who've done what you're trying to do. Why walk the hard path when you don't have to? If you want to learn how to ride a bicycle, the best way is by somebody who knows how to ride a bicycle and has taught 100 other people to ride bicycles. You'll do it a lot faster than if you're trying to ride a bike on your own. But both ways are doable. So I hope that's helpful. Denver says, if I'm on a limited budget like $40 a day, should I be running multiple ad groups or should I just stick to one? I know like conventional wisdom says if you're running ads like Facebook ads or TikTok ads or the Google ads, you got to split test everything. Every fucking thing needs to be split test. So that means you got to split test your targeting, you got to split test messaging, you got to split test numbers and scale and this audience and blue button, red button. And I'm here to tell you, forget all of that shit. We did that for years, and all we ended up with is a lot of mediocre ads and a lot of busyness and a lot of check-in ad manager. Perry Marshall describes this as 3 levels: forest, trees, leaves. Forest being the big stuff. And the big stuff is usually like your creative, like what you're actually offering. The trees are the middle stuff, like what image you use and what messaging you use to package it in. And leaves are little stuff, blue button, red button. Those kind of things. And what most people do is they split test a bunch of minutia instead of just going really big. So if I had a $40 budget, I would either test one single big idea and maybe 2. And that's it. And I'll tell you, if you put all your mental energy into coming up with one great fucking hook or one great ad, you'll write better ads than the people who split test all the minutia, and you'll have a lot less to do. It's a less but better approach to doing it. So if you understand that, like, you'll make your life so much easier. And what I would say is 1 ad, maybe 2 max. A lot of the split testing minutia matters when you have like $1,000 per day budget or more, or $10,000 a day. I even have, friends who spend like hundreds of thousands per day. That's when you want to fucking split test all the minutia. But for most folks, like spending $40 a day, like put it all on one fucking ad and like put your best effort and energy into one creative and fucking rock that. Zach says, how many employees, VAs, freelancers do you think are necessary to get to $100K per month profit? Less laptop, more beach. I mean, you can do it just yourself. I wouldn't recommend doing it just yourself, Zach. The longer I do this, I like just having a small, intimate team. Like our team right now is 4 people on the agency side, and that's all I really want. Like, I'm not trying to build this crazy thing. In fact, my goal with my agency going forwards is I want to do between 1 and 3 million a month, or a year, sorry, with 3 to 5 clients, and that's it. Like a couple of really big heavy hitters to manage that. Like, we only need a couple employees. Now, having said that, good employees will make your life easier. So there is like, even though you could do it with 0, like, why would you want to do everything yourself? In my opinion, you shouldn't. Like, if you have a really good salesperson or really good virtual assistant or really good personal assistant that helps you, they're just going to make your life easier. So for that reason, I do like having personally a small team. And as far as what masterminds I've been part of, there's a couple that I'm part of that are just legal specific that are there. I'm in Travis Sago's mastermind. Some of you guys know him. I don't know. I've been in so many over the years. I don't even want to list them all. Spent a lot of money on masterminds. Let's say that's out. But what I'm looking for, like, rather than tell you which masterminds I joined, I look for somebody who's already doing what I want to do and has figured that out. And if they can shortcut that journey for me and save me time, energy, and mistakes and all those things, that's what I'm looking for in a mastermind or a course or a training or any sort of relationship. So that's kind of like Travis' big hook for me was personally like, since I mentioned him, like they figured out how to sell stuff phoneless, and I was just tired of doing the phone. And so it's like, you know how to sell without the phone. Teach me the wise ways. But I'm a big believer in stuff that can help you shortcut, regardless of what that is, by the way. You can do that without masterminds just by, choosing the right friends, even if they're just Facebook friends and things like that. I spent the first 2 years masterminding with one guy, another guy in our group named Dan. And Dan and I were the only 2 people we knew running agencies back in 2007, and we shared everything that worked with each other for the better part of like 6-7 years. And it's, but we helped each other with things we were both stuck on. So like even just having one friendship like that can propel you faster. Oscar says, going into solar and everyone needs the same thing, leads, appointments. How would you differentiate yourself in a real crowded market? Got a proven system, generate quality leads and self-book around 60%. Question is, should I differentiate myself through quality of work or my irresistible offer? It just become an offer rat race in my opinion, and clients don't trust it. Becomes immune pretty much. I mean, Oscar, you're describing something. If you ever read Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising, he describes 5 stages markets go through. So the first is stage 1 when you're the first one in the market. And that's when you're just like, when you're Coca-Cola, you just got to say, like, we got a tasty fucking drink. Try this shit. And people will buy it. And your messaging is really, really simple because you just say what it is. Eventually what will happen is there will be like competitors, copycats, like you think Pepsi. That's stage 2. And they start saying, our formula is better. So in the marketing space, it's like, and they usually start to exaggerate the promises in stage 2. So they'll say, like, our formula is even better. We can get you 10 leads. We can get you 20 leads. We can get you 50. We can get you 100. And it starts to stretch believability. And then what he describes is when you reach stage 3, you reinvent the market by what he calls a new mechanism, or what I would call a new and exciting way out. So a new mechanism is a different way of doing this. So you see this in weight loss. Like years ago, they had acai and green coffee bean. That was like all the rage. And people are willing to try this new thing because, well, I haven't tried acai before. I haven't tried green coffee beans. So because it's this new mechanism, I can't automatically lump it in with everything else because, I don't know, maybe green coffee bean is different, right? So the normal skepticism that your market has goes away with new exciting thing. Then what happens is in stage 4, people start copying it and they start saying, our green coffee bean is even better than yours, or our acai is extra organic 100%. And again, the way out of it, to get out of that, is to come up with a new mechanism. So my short answer is, when you're in a space where everybody's saying the same shit over and over, come up with a new mechanism, whether that's like, hey, we get our leads on TikTok ads, or we have a go high level sequence, or we figured out how to do it phoneless, or we figured out how to get a specific lead type. But you want to be intentionally different and desirable. And so it's not the same one answer in all markets. It depends a little bit on what everybody else is saying. But usually it's not hard to figure out what all the other solar guys are saying. We'll get you leads, blah, 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 blah. So like, I might, like, this is just off the top of my head, and I'm just bullshitting a little bit here, but I might go after, like, hey, we can help you get the recurring service contracts, or we can help you get big commercial solar jobs, right? Like, whatever it is, like, the answer is in the different and desirable mechanism. If you can figure out something that's different and makes your prospect's life easier, then all of a sudden you'll get yourself out of all of that competition, and you'll be able to resell something that may be presently difficult for you. So I hope that's helpful, my man. Michael says, what targeting options would you use for an aesthetic clinic that does service such as Botox, and all these targeting options aren't available on Facebook? Michael, I would probably do it one of 2 ways. Facebook's really done away with the targeting, so they want you to use their algorithm to figure everything out. I would do one of 2 things. I would literally just target locally and let the algorithm sort through it. That would be one potential way. And the other way is I might geo-target it, meaning, like, quite literally, I would just aim it at the affluent zip codes and take away the ghettos. Those would probably be the 2 ways. But if you had me just pick, I'd probably choose the lazy way and just let it choose geographically and come up with a really good offer. I like to focus on the things that are the most controllable. Like, if Facebook doesn't give me targeting options, then the best thing I can do is write a really great ad and a really great offer and focus on the things that I can control. And if you nail that, usually the right people will come through on the algorithm. I think people forget, right? Like Facebook and all these other platforms, yeah, there's algorithms and there's all these bells and whistles, but they're tools to connect with people. And if you understand the people, the psychology is more important than the technology. I see people get caught up a lot in the technology. I'm not saying that's the case with you, but a lot of times it happens where people are really obsessed. I need funnels and automations and this. And I'm like, hold on, there's a person on the other side. If we figure out how to understand what that person wants and actually give them something of real value, like, all of our funnels and everything that comes after it will work better. So that's how I'd probably approach it, just general, and then, like, really nail an offer. Like, what can you do on Botox that's completely irresistible that nobody else can offer, or nobody else would be willing to offer? Especially if your client can make the money on step 2, then you can almost give away the Botox just to get them in the door and sell them something else. We used to do that for years in plastic surgery, where our first date was boob jobs, the big old boobies. We had a really, like, irresistible, I think our actual ad said something like $3,800 breast augmentation, no hidden fees. And that was a time when nobody listed their pricing, like 10 years ago. And then when they would come in for the boob job, they would say, hey, we can give you all these other complimentary surgeries on payment plans if you want them. And our surgeons would sell a lot of that shit. Group member chose to post anonymously after creating a first date offer and I deliver. Can I ask them for referrals or video testimonials after a great first date? or do we need to have a marriage before I impose it on them? First of all, I don't like that word in there, impose, because I don't think asking for referrals is imposing it. Like, understanding referrals can be helpful for both sides. Having said that, this may blow your mind a little bit, but I actually got testimonials in 2016 for our lawyer offer when I had 0 clients. No first dates, because I didn't understand first dates. No marriages, and I was getting testimonials. So I was getting sales calls booked at the time, and I couldn't get people over the hump of the sales call. This was early 2016. And it was our new agency, and I decided to go after lawyers, and it was like all uphill. And I remember after a while, I started noticing a lot of lawyers, they were just scared to be the first one. They wanted to know I'd worked with other lawyers. And so at the end of the 60-minute phone call, I would say, like, hey, Joe, did you get value from this phone call? And they would always say yes. And then I would say, well, then, Joe, would it be cool if I just, like, hit record here and get a 30-second testimonial? Just let other people know that this call is safe and they'll get something out of it. And the lawyers would say, yeah. And so I'm here to tell you, you don't even have to have clients to get testimonials. You can ask for them just for anybody you've helped in any way, and they'll usually do it. And as far as referrals, it's a service to both sides. Like, hey, do you know anybody else who might be a fit for this? I used to learn that. I used to, like, in my early days, I was like 18 years old. I was selling Cutco knives. I know some of you guys know who that is and what they do. You go make presentations at people's houses and you sell knives. And one of the things they would do as part of their sales presentation at the end is you have a form and you say, okay, what I need from you now is I need 10 to 15 people you think would benefit from this presentation and could use some kitchen knives. And you just hand them the sheet and they would write 10 to 15 names. And it used to blow me away because you could do this from people who didn't buy the knives. And they would still know somebody who likes cooking or something like that that could potentially benefit from it. So you can ask for referrals and testimonials wherever. Of course, having said that, they will be deeper and stronger and more convincing if that person has had a successful marriage with you. But having said that, by all means, feel free to ask for those at any stage in the journey. Our man Oral says, had a great coaching session with His Majesty, Frankie Formidable, the first and foremost. I learned it's not so much about what I do and should do next, but much more about how I approach things. So it's not so much if I should go after this or that niche and that tactic, but more about how to test drive ideas fast and uncomplicated. Always keeping in mind that ideally I build and improve on assets I can reuse and resell over and over again. Most humble thanks to the Royal House. By the way, Oral, you're a fucking genius. So I just want to say, like, it is equally humbling for me to talk to somebody as wise and cool as you are. Having said that, I just wanted to comment on this for those of you guys who are dealing with similar things. So a lot of times I'll get questions from people, should I do this niche or that niche? Should I try this offer or that offer? Should I run ads here or there? Should I get this type of client or that type of client? Should I have a salesperson or go phoneless? And what happens is they get stuck in analyzing the decision and end up doing nothing. And that's not really a way to run a business. We want to make fast decisions even when they're wrong, because you can almost always course correct when they're wrong. So one of the things I do is the longer I do this, the less I think about myself as like a service provider, where most of us, like, at least I think we are. And I think about myself more as an investor. And a good analogy to think about this is, as an investor, imagine you're looking at a piece of land. And the reason you're looking at the piece of land is because you're relatively convinced that there is a gold reserve underneath the land. Okay, so if you buy this piece of land, there is a chance you're going to get filthy, filthy rich on a bunch of gold. But you don't know for sure. And so what I want to do is, like, if I was interested in buying that land, I might say, hey, Mr. Seller, is there any chance we could just do like 20 minutes, do a little dig? I want to do some soil samples and tests, and I'll know whether or not I should buy this piece of land. And if I dig and I find gold, I'm like, all right, I'll buy your land. And if I dig and I don't find gold, I'm going to get out and I'm going to back out of the deal. And so business is like that. The easier you can take an idea and find out whether or not you're on point quickly and easily, the better your ideas are going to work. So people will say to me, do you think this offer would work on my niche? And the only one who can really answer that is the market. So what we're really good at, and what I figured out kind of like in the mastermind, is how to test drive ideas really, really simple. It's just to float something out there and say, would you guys be interested in this? And if the answer is no, you don't buy the land. You don't dig into it, right? You don't go digging for gold. And so it's not always about like, should I go in this niche or that niche? My answer would be, is how can I test drive both of those as fast and quick as possible to see which one is right for me. And then what'll happen is, based on real world experience and data, it'll tell me which way to go, right? Like if I bid on 2 pieces of property, or maybe let's say I bid on 5 and one of them has a huge gold store, well, I'm going to keep going after that one. And if the other ones sound like way too much work, I'm just not going to pursue those opportunities. So a lot of it is being able to, like, as you put it, Oral, so well, is being able to test drive ideas in a small, uncomplicated way. This is why I first date employees, right? I think we'll work together, but I'll know so much better if we actually work together a little bit. This is why we when we bring on managers, it's the same thing. When we bring on clients, when we do all those things, like I want to test drive them as fast as possible. All of that is driven out of investor mindset and thinking about these relationships as partnerships and not as like, how can I be your service provider and sell you some Facebook ads, some SEO, right? Like we don't do any of those kind of things. If you focus on that, like the whole thing will get easier. So I hope that's helpful to you guys who are in that, like, should I go left or right kind of decisions. This one is from, I forgot who write down. Oh, this is from Carlos. Says, seems like the type of uniquely candidly style my Frankie Finn fancies. He's got an email attached and it says, I'll be brief, or hey Elliot, I'll be brief and frank. Your website is fucking horrendous. Sorry, but my mother always told me to tell the truth. What if I said that as an agency? We guarantee 100% money back guarantee. Would you free up 11 minutes in your schedule for a quick call? You're right. I do love the candidness. Having said that, what would help that be even stronger, by the way, if you can specifically point to exactly what is wrong with the website and then exactly what that is costing them. So if you can say right here, your phone number is so teeny tiny that nobody's going to call you, and as a result, you're losing phone calls that you're probably paying for all this traffic left, right, and center. So that's my way of saying, like, the more you can focus on what actually is the problem and what is the cost of the problem, you'll make those messages even better. We got Zach Bartu, the meme god himself. In case you guys don't know, that Zach is like one of the funniest motherfuckers in our group, like just legendary internet hilarity schemes. He says, how much profit per month do you get from your biggest client? Let me dream a little bit, or your biggest month ever. This is an interesting one, Zach, because I'm not like a brag about income numbers. I actually kind of hate that. Like, I'm a little secretive about our income numbers because of the fact that I think it attracts the wrong kind of people, like that only think about people as credit cards with legs. And a lot of our best people are people that really want to bring a lot of real world value. But having said that, I don't know. I've had multiple clients that like $100,000 per client as just like a introductory thing. And I've also been at, like, our agency, been at 120 clients simultaneously multiple times in different agencies. So you can kind of do the math a little bit behind the scenes of what that is. I think a lot of the bragging about income numbers, I'm not against that. But by the way, income numbers alone seem really fucking awesome until you're in there. But they are not the complete picture. Okay, so my first agency, we had 120 clients or so. I'm ballparking, plus or minus 10, but like in that range. Was pure fucking chaos. Like, for real. Like, I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to hire. I was getting phone calls. I was getting emails. I was stressed the fuck out every minute of it. Even though, like, I could go in a group and I could brag about my income numbers, I hated that agency. It made me fucking miserable. I still have what I call inbox PTSD. An inbox PTSD, for example, is like I go looking in my email for angry messages that aren't there. And so even though we still have the income component, like the lifestyle component of my business is way easier. So there's more to it than just revenue numbers alone. Having said that, we got a guy that we do consulting with who does about $150,000 a month. And the entire agency is white label. And that blew me away because $150,000 per month and zero delivery, right? Like zero delivery. And so I think it's for people to understand, like, you can have a 7-figure agency where, like, you're not actually doing shit. It's like very, very much possible. But as far as like per single client, I will happily say revenue numbers there. But we've definitely, like, I've sold $100,000 of shit in a 3-sentence text message. And the secret, by the way, to selling $100,000 shit in a text message is twofold. Okay? And it's not the text message. Everybody thinks like, what's the magic script? Thing number one is that it's a high-level client to begin with, and usually there's a lot of volume in business already that they're doing. Because usually if you can help somebody shift their business 5 or 10%, if it's like in my case, if it's a lawyer doing $100,000 per year, that's like $5,000 or $10,000. That's good money, but it's not life-changing. As where if I help like $100 million law firm get 5%, I just added $5 million, right? So it's very, very easy to justify like, give me $100,000 or give me $250,000. So secret number one is who I'm actually doing the deal with. And secret number two is it's usually after a really good first date. I'll propose, like, let's work together on something. And then after that goes well, it's actually usually them who has the idea, let's do something more. And I go, well, if we can do this, would that be worth blank? And then usually it's just a text message. Okay, the way I see it, let's help you do that. You can sell $100,000 shit in a text message like that. So yeah, like, and anybody really can do this. A lot of it is just having the balls to go after big people. We talked about it a couple times in our mastermind. The biggest reason people don't is twofold. One is they think I'm not ready yet to work with big folks. So it's like saying like, I'm not ready to date the prom queen. I'm going to go date like 10 cave trolls until I'm ready. And truth is, if you mentally see yourself as a cave troll kind of person, you'll never go after the prom queen until you make that shift anyway. And then the second thing is they think, oh, the prom queen, she has it all figured out. Why would she need me? And it used to blow my mind when I would get invited to do consulting gigs with law firms that they're doing like 9 figures. And I'm like, what am I going to teach a law firm doing 9 figures? And then you get inside of there and they're so disorganized and they're so chaotic and they've gotten so big and there's so much bureaucracy that sometimes the shit to do is obvious. And you tell them stuff they've heard 100 times, but because they paid you, they do it. I've had multiple occasions where I say, you need to fire your SEO person, or you need to make this change, or you need to make that change. And there'll be at least one employee goes, see, I've been saying that for a fucking year. And they listen because they paid you for it. But you can sell like really, really expensive shit if you understand just going after bigger deals and having the cojones to go after those kind of like prom queen kind of offers. Dylan says, hey everyone, new to the group. I'm pretty good with getting clients, but hardest part is delivering results. I'm trying to get leads for a concrete client. Google ads got super expensive, about $7 per click. I've been getting leads with Facebook lead forms, but they don't respond. Trying out messenger ads. Any tips? Dylan, this is a question I get a lot in various forms. And the problem with it is implies that the issue is the ad platform. There are nuances that are different between Google and Facebook, but the same people who buy concrete shit, buy it over Facebook, buy it over Google, buy it over TikTok, buy it over Pinterest, whatever. So it's not the ad platform. It sounds like in your case, there's a couple of issues. One, if you don't feel good in fulfillment, one of the things you can do is just white label. And find somebody who is good at that and let them do that. That's one potential solution. But I'll tell you, it sounds like you want to run the ads yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it builds a better overall long-term agency, even though like we have a lot of people doing cool shit with white label partners. So like, you know, I'm not against that idea either. But if you're having a hard time delivering results, there is Carlos sees Ashram. Sorry, I lost my train of thought on the ashram, but I got to read that question again. Dylan, okay, is the one word that'll help you is margins. The reason why I wrote about in the book is selling the $100 bill is because it gives you a lot of margins to be able to be good at delivery. I would see this all the time. I've had a bunch of people who work with e-commerce agencies, and they say, I'm helping them sell $50,000 a month, but after they pay their cost of goods and their employees and their shipping and me and ad costs, they don't make any fucking money. And so I can't really justify my existence, and it's really an issue of margin. For years, we sold motorcycle cases to lawyers, and the reason why we sold them is $25,000 to $80,000 cases is because it gives you a lot of room to be wrong. Like, I can spend $10,000 on Facebook ads, only get one person, and I still got an 8-to-1 return on their money, and they're happy with me. So if you go after the $100 bills and the expensive things in their niche, you'll have margins, and a lot of your problems will resolve themselves with delivery and things like that. If you just build some fucking margin into it, And most people don't have margins, so they struggle to try and make paid advertising work. Paid ads work really fucking easily well when you have margins. If I spend $10,000 to get one $80,000 person, they're happy and they have margin. But if I spend $10,000 and I sell like a $5 restaurant meal, they're going to think I'm the worst agency in the world. So you can do that and build margins in. You'll make your life easier. Zach says, how do you talk to big lawyers when they ghost you like you don't exist? This is true in other niches. Understanding the biggest reason you get ghosted is not because of you and anything you said or did or happened. And I'll tell you when I first experienced this. So I have a lawyer client of mine in South Carolina, and I remember he ghosted me. Now, this is not like a lead or a prospect. This is a fucking paying client. And I can't get him to return my messages or my text message like, dude, are you even fucking alive? Like, you in the hospital? 2 months later, we're putting on a workshop, and he comes to the workshop, and I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, you've been ghosting me. Like, that was my thought in my head. And he's there, and I said, like, man, you all right? Like, I haven't heard from you. And his answer kind of surprised me because I realized how little it was about me. He said, oh, Frankie, I'm so sorry. Like, we just got a huge case. It's like a $2.5 million case. And our whole office, everybody's working on the $2.5 million case. We've let clients fall. We've let phone calls. We're dropping emails. We dropped 1 million balls, but we are going to fucking nail this $2.5 million case. I'm really sorry, dude, but I promise you it wasn't you. We'll get back to all our emails. And in like 1 second, I realized it wasn't me. So how I unghost myself is I do two things. Is I write little messages. One, that assume the reason they didn't respond is because they are busy. And two, I use humor. So I'll give you an example of two of my go-to messages. I'll say, hey, dude, I haven't heard from you. I'm starting to get really worried. If you're stuck down a well, come have your dog bark twice and I'll come rescue you. Ha ha ha, just kidding, man. I know you've been busy. Are you all right over there? That's it. Another one of those is basically a variation of the same thing. Is I'll say like, hey, man, I'm really worried about you. Have you been kidnapped by aliens? Look, I don't want to tell you what happens when they pull out the ray gun, but let's just say you'd rather not find out. Now, if you need some help, let me know and I'll come save you, dude. I'm just kidding. I know you're not really kidnapped by aliens. Just figured you've been really busy and I'd reach back out to you and see how you've been doing. Something like that. Like I'm just shooting a little bit off the cuff. But I assume you're busy plus humor, and you'll be amazed. You'll get conversations that are stalled out going again. I've also had lawyers just tell me like, oh man, I've been like somebody quit my office and I had to fill in, and I've been doing divorce work for 3 weeks now and I have no time for anything. I'm really sorry I haven't gotten back to you. It's almost always like, I would say less than 5% it's about you. So just have fun with it and like just treat them like they're busy and don't take it personally, and they'll come back around consistently. Billy says, can anyone recommend a place to get a good VA? I'm looking to pay $5 an hour for 60 hours a month. The job is mostly small tasks in ad platforms and distribution of leads. Two things with that, my man, is thing number one is you need a source to get good employees. The two that I use most often are onlinejobs.ph and other people's Facebook groups. There's a lot of like in agency groups, like Jeff Miller's group's a good one. There's a lot of VAs in there that are looking for work. So if you just post, are you a VA looking for work, you'll get people. Obviously put some specifics on the job. But the second thing is, the biggest thing that has made or break for me whether or not VAs work out, in the beginning, I would hire 20 VAs and 19 of them would make my life harder. And now I have like a 60% success rate hiring. That doesn't mean like I'm batting 1,000, but I have all kinds of like way more success with employees than failures. And the biggest secret is having step-by-step processes for what they're going to do. So you mentioned they're going to manage ads and platforms and leads. Lay that shit out for them step-by-step in a video. You're going to do this. I just fire up Loom and explain, like, here's how we manage the ads. Here's what we're looking for here. Here's how to do. And you explain all the little subtasks, and then you give them the videos. And then when you hire somebody, they'll know what to do because they know what you're actually looking for. And you'll have a lot of good experiences with VAs. If you do those two things, you go to the good lead sources and get some good VAs, and you put them into your system, you'll probably end up with somebody good. Plot twist, he's really kidding. Zach says, I don't know if you guys ever heard the Mitch Hedberg joke. He's like, you ever go to a restaurant and they say, Dufresne, party of three, Dufresne, party of three. And he says, and if nobody answers, they'll just say it again. Dufresne, party of 3. Dufresne, party of 3. He says, if nobody answers again, they just move on to the next name. Bush, party of 4. He's like, yeah, but what happened to the Dufresnes? The Dufresnes are probably in somebody's trunk right now with duct tape over their mouths. And they're hungry. That's a double whammy. Bush, search party of 4. You selfish motherfuckers can eat when you find the Dufresnes. Did I already sell a lead generation brand? No, but I do have buyers for those of you guys who are interested in that. I've never really, like, the funny thing is, okay, so there's a good book on that, Zach. Let me just grab it here. John Warlow talks about built to sell, and it's about like building like a scalable service business. It's a good read if you guys get to it. I'd also, very similar is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and the two of them kind of set the frame for how to build a sellable, scalable agency, because what most agencies would not run without the owner. And so that's not really a sellable business. If I see 20 agency owners, 19 of them don't have a sellable thing. What happens is once you nail down like one deliverable and build systems around it, what happens is usually your agency actually gets pretty easy to run. And when your agency's easy to run and it's making a good cash like flow regularly for you, you often suddenly, it's the first point where you actually don't want to sell your agency. It's like usually you fantasize about getting out of this and I don't want to ever run another Facebook ad. And then suddenly you have it systematized and organized where it actually runs without you. And then you're like, actually, I don't really do much. I could get used to this, right? So for me, I've never sold one. I know lots of people who have, and also like we have buyers if those of you guys are interested. But just so you know, a buyer is going to look for, can this agency run without you? There's usually prerequisites you got to build into your agency if you actually want to sell it down the road. Allison says, what is everyone doing to get new clients during the recession? Seems more difficult in a market where businesses are leaning towards cutting expenses. Allison, here's the thing is, if you focus on recession and constriction and lack of money and blah, 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 and you buy into that narrative, you will find all the reasons that is true, and you will find all the people who will resonate with that belief. I'm a big believer in finding the buyers in an industry, finding out who's actually spending fucking money right now today. Not tomorrow, not maybe we'll consider it, but who actually spends money today and making offers to those people. And sometimes the size of the buyers is like 10% relative to a niche. And sometimes in a recession, it can constrict to like 5%. But if you understand how to identify the buyers, it doesn't fucking matter because you'll be connected with 100% of the buyers either way. So I focus on who is spending money today, now, and how can I help those people? And I don't get caught up, because what ends up happening is if you listen to the fucking news, the news is like, fear, 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 somebody died, somebody was stabbed, somebody was shot, somebody was killed, people are on fire, they're at war, they're all dying. Now here's Chuck with the weather. Fear, 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 fear. Now here's Dave with sports. In sports ball today, some team won, the group of millionaires from my city beat the group of millionaires from your city 1-0. And that you should take manly superiority. Now back to some regularly scheduled fear. And if you buy into that, you'll look into this greater reality of which you have no control over. And instead, what I really, really encourage people to do as a general practice is focus on the things within your control. And they're usually things that are directly in your reality. My offers, my clients, my family, my ads, like things like that, that you can, arm's length, you can change if you need to. And if you focus on controlling the controllables, you will do well when everyone else suffers. And it's not a secret either. The greatest number of millionaires get made during recessions, right? So if you understand this can be an unequaled opportunity at the same time, you don't have to like struggle with it. So that's my way of saying, don't focus on fucking recession and tightening of money and blah, blah, blah. Figure out how to figure out like who's spending. Like, and it's not real hard. If I go to Google and I type personal injury lawyer Denver, I can see every lawyer in Denver that's spending money right now, today, no guesswork. Like they're there. They're not hidden. I can see them spending money right in front of my eyes. So if you understand that, like there's always flow of money everywhere. And it's like, if you focus on where it's not flowing, you'll just find more of that. And you'll find more of the clients who believe that. If you focus on where it is moving and where it is flowing, and how you can be a part of that and assist that, you won't have the same challenges that everybody else has. But that's a mental one, is don't buy into recession and all that stuff. And don't listen to that. And the other thing is, Creative financing works really well in recessions. The more you know how to like do stuff on payment plans and things like that, like it never goes out of style. You'll probably see me do some of that. So you guys, like, I'll offer some of our courses and trainings on payment plans because in a recession, it's nice for people to be able to make things on payment plans. So, that's my way of saying, like, but more than anything, get the mental side of it right. Don't focus on the lack. Focus on the where there is flow and tap into it. Landy says, question. For new clients who have been with you for just 1 year, what do you do for 6-month or 1 year celebratory gift or thank you gift? We're in our first year with our clients, and we definitely want to celebrate these milestones. I don't know if I still have it here with me, but John Rulin's got a book called Giftology. That's a great book on the topic of giving client gifts. And I'll give you the short version, which is, I'll tell you firstly what not to do, which is what most agencies do, or most businesses in general, is they send self-serving gifts. Swag. I'm not against swag. But like, I see ClickFunnels. They have ClickFunnels shirt. I used to have a ClickFunnels shirt. That's a shirt about ClickFunnels, not about Frankie Finn, right? So the best presents are about the client. So I'll tell you some of my go-tos that we use regularly. Number one, pictures of their family. Never go out of style. Doesn't matter what industry, doesn't matter what business, doesn't matter what niche. You can spend $30-$40, you get a frame picture, you send it to them, you say, really appreciate having you the last year. Makes it awfully hard to fire you. Imagine a guy sends you a framed picture of your family. Or if they're like in a redneck niche, maybe I would put like a coffee mug or something where they can see their picture on. But personalized stuff with their family and kids always, 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 always goes over well. Next thing is, there's a couple of go-tos we have. But I'm a big food. Food never goes out of style, and so I would just click on their profile, see what they're eating. If you can get them a gift certificate at their favorite restaurant, like, you're going to be a fucking hero. Like, oh, I get to go have my favorite lunch, and they're paying for it. They'll associate you with their favorite things in life. Also, like, sometimes I like cheesy shit. We've sent bobbleheads to clients. I also have done, like, food baskets and things like that. But I'll say, like, pictures of family. And then if you guys want to celebrate clients, like a handwritten note. We use a service called Handwritten. In written, it's spelt with a Y instead of like written with an I. Handwritten. They send handwritten notes. They're like $3 a note. You can send one to one client. For $3, you can send them a personalized note in the mail. We use that service a lot. And you can also send like 100 of them at once if you want. You can send the same message to 100 people, and the version with Dave will say Dave, and it'll have the first name personalized each time. You can upload a list. We use services like that. And then I also use like click-to-mail, but I'm big in unexpected stuff in the mail that they wouldn't expect. That's my favorite way to do it personally. I'm not saying it's the only way, but the more personalized the gift is and about them, and if you don't have any ideas, just fucking click on their Facebook profile and look at shit for like 2 minutes, and you will have all the ideas you need. Zach likes my talk of redneck niches. I refer to all the blue-collar niches where you work in person as the redneck niches, and there's a little bit of backstory for that, Zach, but it's true. So when Dan and I first started working with roofers, we were running like rank and rent, running lead generation campaigns. I remember we got a client named Eddie, and Eddie was like a single roofer who was working for himself, and he was definitely like a redneck, like quite literally a redneck. And I remember we generated a phone call, and I'll never ever forget this phone call because the phone call started with the guy calling from our ad and going, "Hey, is this 5-Star Roofing?" And Eddie's wife answers the phone, is like, "Hello? Hello?" And they're like, "Yeah, is this 5-Star Roofing? Hello? You want roofing? 1 second. Hold on. Eddie, come answer the fucking phone!" And they, "Why you always fight with me?" Blah, blah. And so Eddie and his wife fought for like, 7-8 minutes on the phone. The guy hung it out whole phone call. And I remember telling Dan, like, these niches are too crazy for me. And I also remember a couple of times, like, Eddie was like, "Sorry, I can't go quote that job because I got really drunk last night." It was a morning call, and I don't do morning calls when I'm hungover. All right, then. So I say that redneck niches, but they're not all like that. Actually, Dan ended up working with a roofing company later. He sent me a message, said he went to a meeting with a guy. The guy showed up in a McLaren F1. For those of you guys who aren't car people, at the time, it's the fastest production car in the world, costs $1 million for one car. And the guy shows up in $1 million car, says he comes with a Gucci bag. Who knows how much a fucking Gucci bag costs, but I'm guessing it's at least more than a few pennies. And he says he reached into the bag, pulled out $10,000, put it on the table, and said, "I came here to spend money. What's it going to cost me to get you?" And in this case, this guy was he owned a roofing company that was all over the state. They had 40 different areas they covered. They had crews all over, and he needed Dan's marketing services to make it work. So I say that because there's a spectrum in everything. So even though I jokingly say the redneck niches, there's also entrepreneurs in that. There's if you understand that, like, you'll aim higher within your spectrum. You'll go, hey, I don't just want a lawyer. I want a lawyer who's spending like $100 million a year. I don't just want a dentist. I want a dentist who has like a $10 million budget. I don't just want a general contractor. I want a guy who's over the whole state and has 50 crews, and you'll understand like your business will be better because you'll align yourself with successful businesses that are already kind of kicking ass. So I hope that's helpful. Looks like that's all we got is the questions. I don't know if you guys have any more you want to drop on, but if you do, now would be the time. I'll just say as a quick little recap of what I said in the beginning, I don't have any big like fancy stuff to announce this week. Our mastermind, I think, is pretty much full. The courses and stuff, I don't have any necessarily anything new. But if you guys let me know kind of like what personally is a sticking point for you, whatever you're stuck on in the moment, chances are we have some good stuff for that already. I know it sometimes feels like a lonely journey because agency life, like usually our families have no idea what we do. Like I still 15 years later can't tell my family what I do for a living. Not because I'm unwilling. They literally just can't understand it, right? So I'm sure you guys have people like that. But having said that, our problems are not as unique as we think. Like there's usually like 5-10 agency problems in that. Once you figure those things out, like that's it. You can build it and scale it to the moon. And Zach says, yeah, I'm going to go for the mega shoe buyer. The mega shoe buyers is like one of the biggest shortcuts I can give you in this business. I've had people go from like $500 a month services to $10,000 a month services by just having the cojones to aim bigger and stop like, because this is an idea is that we think we need to save businesses. Like at least I did. You show up as like, I'm going to wear my hero cape and I'm going to turn this business around. And what ends up happening, and I say this lovingly, is you align your businesses with losers. And I don't mean they're like losers in life or they're bad people, but losers, at least in the game of business, in the scoreboard of businesses. They're not going to fucking win that game. Like Eddie is never going to be successful with or without Frankie Finn. He's just not. And when you do that, you end up aligning your businesses with other struggling businesses and then don't understand why it's so hard. And it's usually because we want to save these businesses and turn them around. And the best clients are usually the ones that are completely fucking kicking ass without you, and you just add on and pour some gasoline on what's already working. And they're winners with or without you, but you can help them do it easier, faster, and better, and with less mistakes. And often as they get bigger, they need more help anyway, because now like the guy I mentioned who has 50 crews, he has 50 crews to fill up. Right? So he has more of a need for SEO than ever. He has more of a need for Facebook ads than ever because he can't have people sitting around doing nothing. He has to feed them all with work and keep them busy, and he has more stuff going on. And he needs help to do that. There is no fucking possible way he can do that alone. So when you understand that, you show up with all the power and you show up to the mega shoe buyers. You're humble, don't get me wrong, but you're confident at the same time because you know you can deliver real value. You know they don't have it all figured out, and you know they do need your help, and you know you can, just by shifting the needle a little bit, you can bring massive, massive value. And you do that, you can just like kick ass. They think you are an informatician. Yeah, they like for real, like it just works. So I don't know if you guys, for those of you guys who bought that last week, thank you so much. I really do like appreciate you guys. It's really, really cool. I love hearing from you guys. It's like, I don't know, it just makes my day. I legitimately do this for fun. Like I'm not, like, don't take this the wrong way, but like selling a course for 40 or $100 like doesn't change my life. I'm not going to go eat at a fancier restaurant, but it connects me with you guys in that sense. And I fucking love it. I love hearing about your businesses and what you guys are doing, because you guys are just like legitimately so fucking cool. I say this and I mean this. Like when people are around, I love like come to my house. Like, Carlos was on here earlier. I don't know if he's still on, but Carlos has been over and hung out. Like that's the kind of people you guys are. If you're in my hood, I want you to come hang out with me. So it's really, really cool, and I appreciate you guys so much. I think that's all I got for this week. Much love for you guys. May the force be with you, and see you again next week.